Hello everyone, welcome to Mythical Sleeps. I am glad you are here. Tonight, we are going to leave the noise of the modern world behind. Close your eyes. Find a comfortable position. Let your shoulders drop. Unclench your jaw. Take a deep breath in and let it out. Imagine you are standing in a vast museum at night. The air is cool and smells of old stone. You walk past the statues of forgotten kings. You walk until you reach a heavy clay tablet, cracked and written in cuneiform. As you touch the clay, the museum fades. The cool air turns hot. The smell of stone turns to the smell of river mud and reeds. We are in Eridu, the first city. But we are here long before the flood. We are here when the world was young and the gods walked upon the earth. The sun is white. It hangs high in a sky the color of polished turquoise. There are no clouds here. There is only the heat. It presses down on the world like a heavy blanket. It shimmers above the horizon. Below the sun, there is the marsh. Endless miles of green reeds swaying in the hot wind. The water is still. The water is dark and thick with silt. Listen to the silence. It is a heavy silence, broken only by the hum of dragonflies with wings like spun glass. Broken only by the rustle of dry grass. This is the cradle of the world, Mesopotamia, the land between the rivers. But the rivers are not finished yet. Look closely at the mud. Look closely at the banks of the Great Canal. There are figures moving there. They are not men. Men have not been born yet. There are no humans to walk the earth. These figures are tall. They are perfect. Their skin glows with a faint inner light, like gold hidden under dust. Their muscles are hard and carved like marble. They are the Igigi, the younger gods, the gods of the earth and the sky, but not the lords of it. They are the workers. Watch one of them. He stands in the deep mud up to his knees. The mud is cool, but the air is an oven. He holds a basket woven from reeds. He bends down. His back arcs, a perfect line of divine strength. He drives a spade into the wet earth. Schlup, the sound of the mud parting. He lifts the heavy clay. It is dense. It smells of iron and old roots. He drops it into the basket. He does this again, and again, and again, for 10 minutes, for 10 years, for 10 centuries. He lifts the basket onto his shoulder. The rough reeds dig into his skin. Even a god can feel the weight. Even a god can feel the friction. He walks up the bank, step by step, His feet pull against the suction of the mud. He reaches the top of the ridge and dumps the earth. He looks out over the landscape. He sees the great ziggurat in the distance, the house of Enlil, the Lord of Wind. It sits white and pristine against the horizon. Enlil is resting. Enlil is sitting on his throne, drinking cool water from a silver cup. He is watching the work from a distance. He does not feel the heat. He does not feel the flies biting at his neck. The Igigi worker wipes sweat from his forehead. The sweat is golden. It mixes with the gray dust of the excavation. He looks at his hands. They are blistered. They are stained dark with the soil of the Tigris. He turns back. He walks back down into the ditch. The sun beats on his shoulders. It is a hammer of light. It never stops. Imagine the scale of this work. These are the riverbeds that will feed civilizations for thousands of years, and they are being dug by hand, by divine hands. The Igigi are digging the veins of the earth. They are carving the arteries for the water to flow. The Euphrates is a scar in the dry land. It is a wound they must keep open. Night falls. The sun finally dips below the edge of the world. The sky turns a deep, bruised purple, then black. The air does not cool down. The heat rises from the baked ground. It radiates upward, warping the view of the stars. The stars here are bright. They are fierce diamonds scattered on black velvet. The Igigi stop their work. They drop their spades. The sound of wood hitting earth echoes down the line. They gather by the river. They wash the mud from their bodies. The water is tepid. It does not refresh them. It only cleans them. They sit in circles on the dry bank. They eat, they drink, but they do not speak. They are too tired to speak. Imagine the fatigue of a being that cannot die. A human gets tired, and then they sleep, and eventually they pass away. But the Igigi cannot pass away. They simply endure. Their fatigue accumulates. It builds up in their bones like sediment in a river. 1,000 years of digging. 2,000 years of digging. One of them looks up at the great house of Enlil. The temple is lit by torches. It glows with a warm, inviting orange light. They can hear faint music drifting on the wind. The sound of a lyre. The sound of laughter. The Anunnaki, the high gods, are feasting. They are the fathers and mothers. They are the kings and queens. They decreed the labor, but they do not share it. The Igigi worker looks at the distant light. His eyes are dark. He feels the throb of his muscles. He feels the grit of sand between his teeth. He lies back on the hard ground. He looks up at the constellations. He names them. He remembers when he helped hang them in the sky eons ago. before the toil, before the baskets. He closes his eyes, but he does not sleep deeply. He dreams of the spade. He dreams of the mud. He dreams of the basket rubbing the skin off his shoulder. The night passes slowly. The moon, the god, Nana, sails across the sky, a silent white boat on a black ocean. It watches them, indifferent. Dawn comes. It is not a gentle dawn. It is a sudden violence of light. The horizon turns red, blood red, then orange, then the blinding white returns. A horn blows, a deep, resonant sound that vibrates in the chest. It is the call to work. The Igigi rise. They do not stretch. They do not talk. They pick up the baskets. They pick up the spades. 2,500 years. Count the seconds in a single day. Now count the days in a single year. Now multiply that by 2,500. That is the weight of the burden. That is the depth of the river. They walk back into the ditch. The mud is waiting. The earth is waiting. The sun is waiting. Can you feel the heat? Can you feel the dry wind on your face? Can you smell the scent of wet clay and ancient water? This is the world before us, a world of perfect beings crushed by a perfect labor, a world of silence waiting to break. Deep in the earth, something is shifting, not the tectonic plates, but the spirit of the workers. A quiet anger is growing, like a seed buried deep in the dark soil, waiting for the rain. It starts with a look. One worker catches the eye of another. They pause, just for a second. The spade hovers in the air. They look at the tool. They look at the basket. They look at the distant house of Enlil. They do not speak. They do not need to speak. The thought passes between them like a spark jumping between two dry logs. Enough. But not yet. The day is not over. The sun is still high. The work must continue. Schlup. The spade hits the mud. The basket is filled. The shoulder bears the weight. The rhythm continues, hypnotic, endless, heavy. Let yourself sink into this rhythm, the rhythm of the earth, the rhythm of the ancient work. Slow, steady, unstoppable. You are safe here. You are not digging. You are only watching. You are floating above the river, light as a feather, watching the history of the world unfold in slow motion. The act is ending. The sun is setting again. Another day is gone. Another grain of sand in the hourglass of the gods. Rest now. Prepare yourself, for the silence is about to break. It begins in the deepest part of the night. The moon is hidden behind a veil of high, thin clouds. The air is thick and still. Listen closely. there is a new sound. It is not the sound of water. It is not the sound of insects. It is the sound of flint striking stone. Click, click, click. A spark leaps out of the darkness. It is a tiny, violent star. It lands on dry straw. It breathes. It grows. Fire. One of the Igigi workers stands over the flame. His face is illuminated by the orange glow. His eyes are not tired anymore. They are wide. They are awake. He holds his spade. The wooden handle is polished smooth by centuries of sweat. It is part of him, and he hates it. He steps forward. He throws the spade into the fire. The wood catches instantly. The dry reeds of the basket catch. The fire roars up, hungry and bright. Down the line of the canal, another fire starts, then another, then another. A chain of bonfires lighting up the dark curve of the river. They are burning their tools. Imagine the smell. It is not the smell of a hearth or a cooking fire. It is the acrid, sharp smell of rebellion. The smell of ash rising into the hot night air. They do not shout. A human mob would scream. A human mob would chant. But these are gods. They do not need to make noise to be terrifying. They only need to act. They turn away from the river. They turn away from the mud. They look toward the city, towards the Ekur, the house of the mountain, the sanctuary of Enlil. They begin to walk, thousands of them. Their bare feet move in unison on the hard-packed earth. Thrum, thrum, thrum. It is a low vibration that travels through the ground. It shakes the dust from the palm leaves. They walk out of the marshes. They walk past the sleeping fields of barley. They walk to the gates of the sanctuary. The temple is white. It glows in the moonlight like a pearl. It is beautiful. It is silent. The mob surrounds it. They flow around the building like a dark tide. They fill the courtyard. They fill the streets. They stand shoulder to shoulder, golden skin pressing against golden skin. They stop. They do not attack. They do not bang on the doors. They just stand there, waiting. The silence of the mob is heavier than the silence of the desert. It is a pressure. It pushes against the walls of the house. It seeps through the cracks in the bricks. Inside the temple, the air is perfumed with cedar and myrrh. It is cool. There are soft rugs on the floor. There are bowls of pomegranate and wine. Enlil is sleeping. The king of the gods is dreaming of clouds. He is dreaming of the high wind where no labor exists. But the silence wakes him. Not a noise, but the absence of peace. He opens his eyes. He sits up in his great bed. The silk sheets rustle. He listens. He hears the breathing. the breathing of thousands of beings standing just outside his wall. Fear is a cold sensation. It starts in the stomach. It spreads to the chest. It tightens the throat. Enlil, the Storm Lord, feels the cold touch of fear. He calls for his servant, Nusku. His voice is a whisper. He does not want the mob to hear him. Nusku enters. The vizier is trembling. He carries a lamp, but the flame is shaking. "My lord," he says, "the house is surrounded. The Igigi have left the work. They have burned the baskets. They have burned the spades." Enlil walks to the window. He looks out. He sees the sea of faces, thousands of eyes reflecting the light of his own torches. They are looking up at him. They are not blinking. "What do they want?" Enlil asks. But he knows what they want. They want to rest. Enlil steps back from the window. He feels trapped. He is the master of the air, but he cannot fly away from this. The air in the room feels thin. He feels the weight of their stare pressing on his chest. "Bar the doors," he commands. "Wake the others. Wake Anu. Wake Enki. Tell them the earth is rising against the sky." The messengers run through the back corridors of the palace. Their sandals slap against the stone. They are the only fast-moving things in a world that has frozen still. The council gathers, the great Anunnaki. They arrive in the main hall of the temple. They are tall, radiating light, but their light is dim tonight. They are anxious. Enki arrives, the god of wisdom, the lord of the sweet waters. His beard is wet. He smells of the deep river. He looks calm, but his eyes are sharp. He sees the fear in Enlil's face. Anu arrives, the Sky Father. He is old, ancient. His skin is like parchment. He sits on the highest throne. They sit in a circle. The room is lit by oil lamps that cast long, dancing shadows on the walls. The shadows look like monsters. Outside, the mob waits. The sun begins to rise. A gray light filters into the courtyard. It reveals the faces of the rebels. They are covered in soot. They are covered in dried mud. They look like statues dug up from the earth. They look unstoppable. Enlil speaks to the council. His voice shakes. "They have cast down the work. They besiege my gate. They will kill me." Anu looks at the mob through the high window. He looks at their hands. Hands shaped by 2,000 years of crushing labor. Hands that could crush a god's throat. "Their work was too heavy," Anu says. His voice is like the cracking of dry wood. "Their misery was too great. We cannot blame them." "But who will dig?" asks Enlil. "Who will maintain the rivers? Who will grow the food? If they stop, the world dies. If they stop, we starve." Silence falls over the council. A heavy, suffocating silence. They look at each other, the gods of heaven, helpless without their servants. Enki leans forward. He dips his hand into a bowl of water. He watches the ripples. "There is a way," Enki whispers. The other gods lean in. The shadows on the wall lean in with them. "The Igigi are gods," Enki says. "They were not made to bow. They were not made to break. But we can make something that is made to break. We can make a substitute," Enki continues. "A being that carries the yoke. A being that carries the basket. A being that lives only to serve and then dies." Enlil frowns. "A beast? An ox?" "No," says Enki, "not a beast. It must have intelligence. It must have hands like ours. It must have a mind to understand the command." Enki smiles. It is a sad, terrible smile. "We will create a Lulu, a man." The word hangs in the air. Man. It is a new word, a word that has never been spoken before in the history of the universe. "But to make it," Enki adds softly, "we need clay, and to bind the clay, we need blood." Enki looks around the circle. He looks at the other gods. He is not looking for a volunteer. He is looking for a victim. "One of us must die," Enki says, "so that the man may live." The atmosphere in the room changes. It shifts from fear of the mob to a different kind of fear, a predatory fear. Outside, the sun fully rises. It hits the gold of the temple. It hits the soot-stained faces of the Igigi. They are still waiting. They do not know that their freedom will be bought with blood. They do not know that they are about to be replaced. The decision is made. The silence is broken. The era of the gods is ending. The era of the human is about to begin. The decision hangs in the air like smoke. The gods look at one another. They are immortal, but now they are discussing death. They are discussing the end of a consciousness. They need a volunteer, but no one speaks. The wind outside has stopped. Even the mob of Igigi has fallen silent, as if they can feel the shift in the universe. Finally, a figure steps forward from the shadows. His name is Geshtue. He is not a king. He is not a warrior. He is a minor god, a god of intelligence, a god of planning. He has eyes the color of dark honey. He has hands that have never held a weapon. He walks to the center of the circle. His footsteps are soft on the stone floor. He does not look afraid. He looks resigned. He understands the equation. One life for 1,000 lives. One sacrifice to save the world from starvation. "I will do it," he says. His voice is quiet. It does not echo. It is absorbed by the tapestries on the walls. The other gods do not cheer. They do not clap. They look down at their hands. They are ashamed, but they accept it. Enki stands up. He walks to a small table made of cedar wood. On the table lies a knife. It is not a golden ceremonial dagger. It is a blade of obsidian, black volcanic glass, sharper than steel, sharper than a whisper. Enki picks up the knife. The black glass catches the light of the oil lamps. It glints with a cold, hungry purple. Geshtue kneels. He lowers his body slowly. He places his hands on his knees. He straightens his back. He exposes his neck. Look at his neck. The skin is flawless. It is pale gold. Underneath the skin, you can see the pulse. Thump, thump. Thump, thump. The rhythm of a divine life. Enki steps behind him. He places a hand on Geshtui's forehead. It is a gentle touch, almost a blessing. Forgive us, Enki whispers. Geshtui closes his eyes. He takes a breath. He smells the incense. He smells the fear of the other gods. Make it worth it, he whispers back. Enki moves the knife. We do not look away. We watch with the cold detachment of a statue. The obsidian blade touches the skin. It sinks in. There is no resistance. It is like cutting water. The red line appears. It is bright, shockingly bright in the dim room. It widens. The blood flows. It does not spray. It pours. It is thick and warm. It runs down the golden chest of the god. It drips onto the stone floor. Plap, plap, plap. Geshtui does not scream. He does not struggle. He simply fades. The light in his skin dims. The tension in his muscles dissolves. He slumps forward. The spirit leaves the room. You can feel it go. A sudden cold draft that makes the flames of the lamps flicker blue. The god is dead. The intelligence of the god is now free, floating in the room, waiting to be caught. Now the work begins. The true work. Ninhursag steps forward, the mother goddess, the womb of the world. She is wearing a robe of green linen. She rolls up her sleeves. Her arms are strong. Her arms are the arms of a midwife and a potter. Servants bring in the clay. It is carried in great silver bowls. This is not ordinary mud from the riverbank. This is clay from the Apsu, from the deep, freshwater abyss beneath the earth. The clay is cold. It is dark gray. It smells of minerals and deep, sunless places. It is the flesh of the earth. Ninhursag pours the clay onto a large stone slab. It lands with a heavy, wet sound. Splat. Then she takes the bowl of blood, the blood of Geshtui. It is still warm. It is steaming slightly in the cool air. She pours the blood into the clay, red into gray, life into matter. She plunges her hands into the mixture. She does not use a tool. She uses her fingers. She pushes. She folds. she needs. Listen to the sound, the squelch of wet earth, the slap of the clay against the stone. It is a primal sound. The sound of creation is messy. It is wet. It is physical. The gray clay begins to change color. As the blood mixes in, it turns a deep, rich brown. The color of fertile soil. The color of human skin. Ninhursag chants as she works. Her voice is low and rhythmic. It is a hum that vibrates in the chest. She is not singing a song. She is singing a binding spell. She is binding the ghost of the god into the mud. You are the worker, she chants. You are the carrier of the basket. You are the digger of the ditch. You are the shadow of the god. She spits on the clay, a ritual act, giving it moisture, giving it part of herself. The other gods watch. They are horrified and fascinated. They see the clay moving, not because of her hands, but because of something inside it. The clay is twitching. It is reacting to the divine blood. Ninhursag takes a piece of the mixture. She rolls it into a ball. Then she flattens it. She begins to shape it. She forms a torso. She forms 2 legs. She forms 2 arms. She forms a head. It is small. It is doll-sized. She makes 7 of them on the right. She makes 7 of them on the left. 7 males, 7 females. They lie on the stone slab, motionless, like little statues of mud. They have no eyes yet. They have no mouths. Ninhursag leans over them. She brings her face close to the clay faces. She breathes on them. A long, slow exhalation. The clay absorbs the breath. The chests of the little figures expand. Just a fraction. Inhale, exhale. The clay begins to dry. It changes texture. It becomes soft skin. It becomes hair. It becomes fingernails. The first one opens its eyes. Look into those eyes. They are not the glowing eyes of the Igigi. They are dark brown. They are deep. They are confused. This creature does not know where it is. It does not remember the abyss. It does not remember the knife. It only knows that it is here, and it is heavy. It tries to sit up. Its movements are clumsy. It does not have the grace of a god. It has the weight of the earth pulling it down. Gravity is its master. It looks at its hands. It opens and closes its fingers. It sees the lines on its palm, the map of its destiny, a destiny of work. It looks up at Ninhursag. It does not see a mother. It sees a giant. a towering figure of terrifying power. It opens its mouth. It tries to speak, but it has no words. It only has a sound, a cry. Wah! The sound echoes in the silent temple. The cry of the newborn. The cry of the Lulu. Enlil hears it. He steps closer. He looks down at the creature. He sees the fear in its eyes. He sees the strength in its shoulders. He smiles. But it is not a kind smile. It is the smile of a man who has found a lost tool. It lives, Enlil says. It breathes. It fears. He points to the window, to the rising sun, to the waiting fields, to the broken canals. Take it, he commands. Give it a spade. Give it a basket. And tell the Igigi they are free. The act is ending. The deed is done. The blood is spilled. The clay is shaped. The world has changed forever. Sleep now. Let the image of the clay fade. Let the heavy breathing of the first man slow down. You are safe. You are not made of clay. You are made of stardust and dreams. Rest. Time passes, not the slow time of the gods, but the fast, frantic time of the Lulu. The years turn into centuries. The centuries turn into millennia. The clay figures have multiplied. They have spread out from the riverbanks like a creeping vine. The earth is no longer silent. It is loud. It is deafening. Listen to the city of Shurupak. It is a hive, a swarm. Narrow streets packed with mud brick houses. The sound of hammers hitting bronze. The sound of donkeys braying. The sound of children screaming. The sound of arguments. The sound of life. The noise rises up from the earth. It is a physical thing. It is a vibration. It shakes the air. It heats the atmosphere. It reaches the high heavens where the Anunnaki dwell. Enlil is trying to sleep. The Lord of Wind is lying on his bed in the sky, but he cannot find peace. The noise is like a mosquito in his ear, a constant, high-pitched whine. Buzz, buzz, buzz. It drills into his skull. It makes his teeth ache. He tosses and turns. He buries his head in pillows made of clouds, but the noise penetrates the clouds. The noise of humanity is stronger than the walls of heaven. Enlil sits up. His eyes are red. He has not slept in 600 years. Insomnia for a god is not just tiredness. It is madness. It is a fracturing of the divine mind. He stands up. He looks down at the earth. He sees the fires of the cities. He sees the smoke. He hears the roar of the crowd. They are too many, he whispers. They are too loud. I cannot rest. He summons the council again, but this time There is no fear in the room. There is only irritation. There is only the cold bureaucracy of extinction. The noise is intolerable, Enlil says. His voice is flat, dead. The mechanism is broken. The tool has become a pestilence. We must wash it away. The other gods nod. They are tired too. They want the silence back. They want the pristine, empty world where they could hear their own thoughts. A flood, Enlil says. A deluge to wipe the slate clean. We will open the fountains of the deep. We will open the sluice gates of the sky. We will return the earth to the clay. He looks at Enki. He knows Enki loves his creations. He knows Enki molded them with his own hands. Swear, Enlil commands. Swear by the life of heaven and earth that you will not warn them. Swear that you will let them die. Enki looks at his brother. He sees the madness in Enlil's eyes. He knows he cannot refuse. I swear, Enki lies. The meeting ends. The decision is sealed. The death warrant of the world is signed in silence. But Enki is the god of wisdom, and wisdom always finds a loophole. He goes down to the earth. He goes to the city of Shuruppak. He walks to the edge of the river. There is a hut there, a simple reed hut. Inside lives a man named Atrahasis, the wise one, a man who still remembers the old ways. Enki cannot speak to the man. He has sworn an oath. He cannot appear to him. So Enki walks up to the hut. He stands outside in the dark. He puts his mouth close to the wall. The wall is made of woven reeds. It smells of dried grass and river water. Wall, Enki whispers, listen to me. Reed hut, wall, wall. Listen to my words. Pay attention to my message. Inside, Atrahasis wakes up. He hears the wind talking. He hears the reeds vibrating. Thrum, thrum. Man of Shuruppak, the wall whispers, tear down your house. Build a boat. Leave your possessions. Save your life. The voice is like water flowing over stones, urgent, fluid. The flood is coming. The great silence is coming. Cover the boat with a roof like the Apsu. Seal it with bitumen. Pitch it inside and out. Atrahasis listens. He shivers. He understands. The gods have turned against him. The sky is about to fall. The next morning, the work begins. It is frantic work. Atrahasis tears down his house. He uses the wood for ribs. He uses the reeds for the hull. He heats the bitumen. Can you smell it? The thick black tar. The sharp chemical scent of boiling pitch. It sticks to his skin. It seals the cracks. He gathers the animals. He gathers the seeds. He gathers his family. They look at him with fear. The sky is still blue. The sun is still white. They think he is mad. But then the wind changes. It stops blowing from the north. It starts blowing from the south. It feels hot, moist, heavy. The The sky turns a strange color, not yellow, but a bruised, sickly green. The birds stop singing. The dogs stop barking. A terrified silence falls over the city. A black cloud appears on the horizon. It is not a normal cloud. It is a wall of darkness. It stretches from the earth to the zenith. Inside the cloud, there is no light, only the rumble of Adad, the storm god. Atrahasis seals the door. He is inside the dark belly of the boat. He smells the tar. He smells the wet fur of the animals. He waits. Then the first drop falls. Plat. It is heavy. It is cold. It hits the dry earth like a bullet. Then another. Then 1,000. Then the world disappears. The dikes burst. The dams collapse. The fountains of the deep explode upwards. The windows of heaven open downwards. It is not rain. It is an ocean falling from the sky. It crushes the reed huts. It dissolves the mud bricks. The city of Shuruppak melts like sugar in hot tea. The noise is absolute. It is a roar that erases all thought. A roar of white water. A roar of grinding stones. Up in heaven, the Anunnaki are watching. And they are terrified. They did not expect this. They ordered a flood, but they got an apocalypse. The water rises so high it splashes against the gates of heaven. The heat of the storm scorches the sky. The gods are wet. The gods are cold. They cower against the walls of Anu's palace. They curl up like dogs. They tremble. Ishtar, the queen of heaven, cries out. Her voice is shrill with panic. I spoke evil in the council. Why did I command this destruction? My people are floating like fish in the sea. She weeps. The other gods weep with her. Their tears mix with the rain, but their tears are too late. Down below, there is nothing. No cities, no mountains, no trees, only the water. The water is black. It swirls with the debris of a civilization. A chair, a wooden bowl, a child's toy, all spinning in the dark vortex. The boat of Atrahasis tosses and turns. It is a tiny speck in a chaotic universe. Inside, they hold their breath. They listen to the screech of the wood. They listen to the hammering of the rain. Imagine the darkness. A darkness so complete you cannot see your own hand. A darkness that smells of salt and old mud. This is the great silence. Enlil has his wish. The noise of humanity is gone. The arguments are over. The laughter is over. There is only the sound of the water, endless, indifferent, cold, drifting over the grave of the world. The act is ending. The storm is raging, but you are safe. You are in the boat. You are warm. The pitch is sealed tight. The water cannot touch you. Let the sound of the rain become a lullaby. a heavy, rhythmic white noise that pushes the world away. Sleep. 7 days, 7 nights. The storm does not think. It does not feel. It only pours. It is a hammer made of water, striking the earth again and again. But hammers eventually stop. On the morning of the 8th day, something changes. The wind loses its fury. The roar softens to a hum. The hum softens to a whisper. Then, silence. Not the silence of a held breath, but the silence of an empty room. Atrahasis opens his eyes in the dark. The boat is not rocking anymore. It is still. It has stopped moving. He stands up. His legs are stiff. He walks to the hatch. He pushes against the wood. It is heavy with water, but it opens. Creak. Light floods in. It is blinding. It is not the angry green light of the storm. It is pure, white, brilliant light. He climbs out onto the deck. He blinks against the glare. The air is cold. It smells of ozone. It smells of nothing. He looks out. There is no earth. There is only water. A flat, mirror-like sheet of water stretching to the curve of the horizon. It reflects the sky so perfectly that you cannot tell where the water ends and the heavens begin. The world is a blue sphere, clean, washed, empty. The boat has grounded on a peak, Mount Nimush, the only rock sticking out of the endless ocean. Atrahasis stands alone, the last man, the seed of mankind. He feels very small. He needs to know if the water is receding. He reaches into a cage. He pulls out a bird, a dove. It is soft in his hands. Its heart is beating fast. Flutter, flutter. He throws it into the air. Watch it fly, a white speck against the blue. It circles. It flies east. It flies west. But there is no tree. There is no land. It returns. It lands on the railing. It looks at him. It is tired. He waits another day. He sends out a swallow. The swallow is fast. It darts low over the water. It skims the surface. It searches for a branch, for a bug, for anything. But there is nothing. The swallow returns. It huddles in the corner of the deck. He waits another day. He reaches into the cage again. This time, he pulls out a raven. The raven is black, glossy. Its eye is intelligent. It does not flutter. It waits. He throws it up. The raven flies. It goes high. It sees something the others missed. A patch of mud, a receding shoreline, carrion floating in the water. The raven eats. The raven croaks. Caw, caw, and it does not come back. Atrahasis knows. The waters are falling. The earth is emerging, reborn. But it is a quiet birth. He brings out a cauldron. He sets it on the rocks of the mountain. He gathers wood from the boat, wood that smells of the ancient tar. He lights a fire. Crackle. The smoke rises. It is a thin, gray line going straight up into the still air. He burns myrtle. He burns cedar. He burns the last sheep. The smell of the sacrifice rises. It is a rich, savory smell. It drifts up through the layers of the atmosphere. It reaches the high heavens. The Anunnaki are sitting in their palace. They are hungry. They have not eaten in 7 days. They have no workers to feed them. They have no temples. They smell the smoke. They descend. They do not come down in glory. They come down in desperation. The texts say they gathered like flies around the sacrifice. The great gods, the shining ones, huddled around a small fire on a mountain peak, inhaling the scent of the roasted meat, grateful for the offering of a single man. But then Enlil arrives. The sky opens. The Lord of Wind descends, and he is furious. He sees the boat. He sees the man. He sees the life that survived his command. His face is dark. Thunder rumbles in his throat. "Who has done this?" he demands. "Who has betrayed the oath? I ordered silence. I ordered death. Why does a mortal breathe?" The other gods shrink back. They are afraid of his anger. But Enki steps forward, the god of wisdom. He looks tired, but he looks calm. "I did not speak to the man," Enki says softly. "I spoke to the wall. If the man heard, that is his wisdom, not my betrayal." Enki points to the fire. He points to the food. "Look, brother, the destruction is done. The silence is achieved. But if you kill this man, who will feed you? Who will pour the wine? Who will build the house?" Enlil stops. He looks at the fire. He looks at his own hunger. He looks at the emptiness of the world. The anger drains out of him. It leaves him heavy. He realizes the truth. The gods need men as much as men need gods. It is a circle. Enlil walks to Atrahasis. The man falls to his knees. He expects to die. He expects the lightning. But Enlil does not strike. He reaches out. He touches the man's forehead. He touches the woman's forehead. His touch is electric. It is cold and hot at the same time. "You have survived the end of the world," Enlil says. His voice is the sound of a distant storm. "You shall not die like men. You shall be like us." "But you cannot live here," Enlil continues. "You belong to the old world, the world of memory." "Go," Enlil says. "Go to the distance, to the mouth of the rivers, to Dilmun. Live there in the silence you love so much." Enlil turns away. He looks at the other gods. "Let us go," he says, and they begin to rise. One by one, the Anunnaki leave the earth. They dissolve into the light. They become the stars. They become the wind. They become the distant rumble of thunder. They leave the earth to us, to the children of the clay, to the noisy, messy, living world. Atrahasis watches them go. He is alone on the mountain, but he is not afraid. He breathes in the air. It is fresh. It is new. He looks at the water receding. He sees the green shoots of grass pushing up through the mud. The silence is still there, but it is not a dead silence. It is a waiting silence, a peaceful silence. The story is finished. The tablet is broken. The museum is closing. You are drifting away from Eridu. You are drifting away from the boat. You are drifting back to your own time, your own bed, your own safety. The journey is over. The story is told. Now, the darkness of your own room wraps around you. It is a protective velvet. Let the story drift away. Sleep now. Sleep.